During her cross-examination yesterday, we heard all about how Miss Jen McCabe lied to the feds. However you slice this, guys, I think she's fucking cooked. Like, I can't imagine why she'd be dumb enough to do that. Her entire day on the stand yesterday was bad in a number of ways. I'm going to get into it, but let's first talk about the feds. I learned from a lawyer on TikTok that there's a big difference between a state case and a federal case. And essentially, and I think this might be true, it sounds true, that if you're arrested at the state level, like someone like Karen, they have enough probable cause to arrest you. Like, they think you did it, but they arrest you and then they spend time building the case before it goes to court. When it's a federal case, they've already done that before the arrests are even made. So when they come to arrest you, you got to know they got the goods on you. Like, you got to know that you're dead to rights, right? In fact, they probably don't even question you unless they already know the answers. So when federal agents are conducting an investigation and they call Jen McCabe and she says, yep, just give me 10 minutes to get dressed. And then she proceeds to use that 10 minutes to make 5 phone calls. I'm going to tell you, they knew. And I don't know this to be a fact, but my guess is that they're monitoring her phone usage. I don't think they're listening to her conversations, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they have a warrant that allows them to use some type of monitoring software that shows when certain people call each other. I can imagine there's 2 officers sitting out in a car, and as soon as they go, we'll be in 10 minutes, they open up their laptops and they're watching her phone activity. And maybe it's just they're waiting to see if she does what they think she's going to do, which is to call Brian Albert, and she does exactly that. Now, in her defense, in this situation, if Fed showed up at my door, I would say, I need to make 2 phone calls. I'm going to call my husband just because I want him here. And 2, I'm going to call my attorney. So you have the right to make phone calls. And so in her case, it makes perfect sense that she would call Matt. And if for nothing else, just come sit next to me and hold my hand while I'm talking to feds because I'm nervous. That's fine. And I kind of understand why she called her witness advocate at the DA's office. Now, she called, I'm sure, to be like, oh shit, they're on my porch. What do I say? What I would have said to the feds is, please come in, let me get you a cup of coffee, sit down at my table. I need to make a phone call. And I'm going to call my witness advocate because I am a key witness in a state case. It's a murder case, and I have to testify. And I don't want my conversation with you in any way, shape, or form to disqualify me to be able to testify in that case. So let me just call and make sure it's okay to talk to you. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And I would have done it right in front of him. I'd have been, sit down, I'm making a phone call. But she also called 3 other people. We know why she called Carrie, because they wanted to get the story straight. I'm not entirely sure why she called Peg, unless Peg has already been visited by the feds, maybe. But her calling Brian Albert tells us everything we need to know. The only thing that surprises me is that he didn't show up because he's been present for all of her other police interviews. I'm sure his advice to her was stick to the story and get him out of your house as quick as possible. And that's exactly what she did. But an alarm bell should have gone off when they said to her, Miss McCabe, during the 10 minutes that we were waiting for you to get dressed, who did you call? She should have known. They know. But she didn't come clean. She said she called 2 people. She called Matt and she called Carrie. And they said, did you call anybody else? No. They kept prompting her. Are you sure there's nobody else you called? It's a crime to lie to us. She's got every opportunity to tell them, and she lied. And then they even hand her a business card and go, if you think of anybody else, please let us know. They walked out that door knowing that she lied to their faces. Let's also talk about Alan Jackson and the grand jury testimony. So the big thing in this case is I hit him, right? That is where they're basically saying Karen confessed to this. But he pulls out her grand jury testimony, and it's beautiful because he hands her this big packet, and she takes the paperwork and she looks down at it and he goes, show me in there where you testified before the grand jury that my client said I hit him. And she looks down and she looks up and she goes, it's 227 pages. And Jackson's across the room and he goes, take your time. And I'm like, fuck, that was sick. Anyway, the judge goes, what is it? And she's like, it's 227 pages. And the judge is like, no, Mr. Jackson. So he comes over and there's tabs. And so he makes her open to certain pages. Well, it says that Karen Reed said, I'm worried that I might have hit him. What's it say on this page? What's it say on that page? And she's forced to go through this. And in every single part of it, she's forced to say, there is no, I hit him. She did not say that to the grand jury. That was nowhere in her grand jury testimony. It wasn't said until the very first trial last year. But there's also a part she gets herself into hot water because Brennan had showed us a video, this wonderful video of dashboard cam that shows Karen Reed, Jen McCabe, and Kate McLaughlin, I think is her name, the female EMT. And all 3 of them are together, like in front of this dash cam. And Jen goes, that's the exact time that Karen walked up to both of us and said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Basically, Kate is my witness, the female EMT, she heard it. So he goes to that page and Jen is forced to read her testimony to the grand jury, which said, at one point, Karen walks up, we're standing there with a female EMT, and Karen says, something to the effect of, I'm worried that I might have hit him. So that EMT is going to get called up on the stand. And Jackson's going to bust her for lying too, because we have the grand jury testimony. Now, the third thing I noticed was they were talking about Michael Proctor. So let's go back all the way to the beginning. The morning of the event, Officer Lank went in the house and he questioned Jen McCabe and all the people that were there. I didn't realize Brian Higgins had come back over to the house that morning. I don't know how I missed that, but Higgins was there as well. So they're all sitting around the table and Lank's just like, hey, anybody got anything to say? Like, fucking bogus. He writes up a report and he leaves. Jen calls him back like an hour and a half later. Lank comes back and she says, listen, I forgot some details. I want to amend my statement so that basically, so your report is correct. That's the guys, like, I want you to correct your report. That's when she first brings up the notion that Karen was saying that she hit him. So Lank puts that in his report, that Miss McCabe called him back and said Karen mentioned she might have hit him. So that's in Lank's report. A couple hours later, she's at her home. And by the way, everybody's gone to her home because they all need to be together when Proctor arrives. They can't be separated. So Proctor comes in and is talking to her. And in her interview with Proctor, she doesn't mention anything about I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. She never brings it up to Proctor. Jackson calls her on this on the stand. He goes, how come you didn't mention it to Proctor? And she says, oh, I did. I told him. And he says, well, here's the report. And she says, well, I know, but it's not my fault if his report is faulty. So she's essentially like blaming Proctor for not writing it down when she said it. So Jackson says to her, well, wait a minute. You read his report, right? And she said, yes. And he said, and you saw how your conversation was represented. Yes. Now, see, I would have gone one step further and said, Miss McCabe, why is it when you realized you had misspoken or you realized he hadn't captured it correctly, why didn't you call Proctor back and make a new statement? Because you did it with Lank. It was really important to you to make sure that you and your statements were properly represented to Lank. Why didn't you do that with Proctor? If there was something wrong with his report, why didn't you say something? So there you have it. She first mentioned to Officer Lank, Karen's worried she might have hit him. She says to Proctor, I don't know, Karen may have said something about hitting him. She goes in the grand jury and says, Karen said something about like maybe I hit him. Comes to the first trial, McCabe walks in there and it's I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. The second trial, Carrie Roberts says, I want to amend what I say now that I remember clearly. It's I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And Nuttles does the same thing. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. So now they're all doing the same thing that Jen McCabe is doing, but Jen has no coverage because she didn't say it to the grand jury, she didn't say it to Proctor, and she didn't say it the first time to Lank. It's obvious that he's got her making it up as we go along, and now everybody else is syncing up to that, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, and I bet you the female EMT is going to come in and say the exact same thing.